Hello, I'm Dr. Sharon Silverman, and I'm 77 years old. When I was growing up on the south side of Chicago, I loved to learn. As long as I can remember, reading was a very big part of my life. I would regularly go to the neighborhood library, which was on the corner on, I think it was 79th near Cottage Grove, where I lived. That was the beginning of my passion for being a learner and ultimately led into my career as an educator. So when I think about my love of learning and my curiosity, I often think about my mother. She was a major influence in my life, both my parents, but specifically my mother, because I saw her searching always and finding new opportunities to learn. She was a role model that I had, that I will be so fortunate if anyone ever says to me that I was a role model for them. When I first began as a teacher, I was teaching fourth grade. There I was teaching a group of fourth graders, and I suddenly realized that I didn't have everything I needed in order to reach every student. And one student in particular who tried very hard was just not getting it. And as the end of the school year was approaching and it was time to decide whether he would go on to fifth grade, I had a very big decision to make, and it's something all these many years later I still think about. In fact, I still remember that student's name because as a first-year teacher, he was the first student, probably the only student I can remember that I didn't promote to the next grade. In a way, it felt like a failure to me. And in fact, I think it was, in the sense that I was not able to reach him and help him in the way that he needed help. So that was the end of my first year of teaching, and he actually was the motivator for me to go on for more education. So I ended up continuing and moving on to graduate school, and I chose a program that was to develop teachers of students with learning disabilities. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's what, his name was Michael, I'm sure that's what Michael had, and I didn't have the foggiest notion of how to help him. Then I left and became a full-time graduate student, and I became a teacher of students with learning disabilities, and that kind of set the path for the rest of my career, which was always focused on helping students who struggle to try to overcome whatever barriers were in their way so they could be better learners. So one of the things I've done in my career has been a teacher educator. In fact, after I got my degree in learning disabilities, I continued and became an educational psychologist with a focus that's on all about teaching and learning. It brings up a recent research project that I completed with my colleague Martha Kazaza. We wrote a book called Student Voices, and we interviewed a group of students who were all identified as being underachievers or not likely to achieve in their learning. And yet each one of these students ended up achieving to the highest levels when they were predicted not to achieve. And what did we learn from them? When we interviewed them, we learned what made the difference. The most prevalent theme that came from the entire project was each one of these persons had someone who believed in them, someone who didn't focus on the negative, but gave encouragement along the way. And some of these individuals who believed in their students were parents, and some of them were teachers, and some of them were just other individuals in their lives that recognized the importance of giving this positive encouragement, and that's what they do. I am an advocate for many things, but I would say the first thing that I would say, I am an advocate for opportunity for education for everyone. I'm reminded of a quote by Rabbi Jonathan Sachs that's very important to me, and it's that knowledge and access to it is the basis for human dignity. And in the Jewish context, that's one of the things that I am so fortunate to be part of SPIRTUS, which is where I'm currently chair of the Board of Trustees. But people ask me, what is it about Judaism that makes it such a special thing for me? And I would say that it's the book, the learning aspect of Judaism, and the idea of questioning, that we are encouraged to question and to learn and not to just accept blindly what some dogma that was given to us, but that we are always seeking to learn something new. And that's one of the thrills I get actually at this time of my life, realizing that you never know it all. And so you're always going to be in situations where you have the opportunity to learn more. And when you embrace that opportunity, your life is richer and fuller. When I had my first Fulbright in South Africa, I was 55 years old. So it might seem like, why would I be doing it at that time? In fact, at that point, I didn't think of myself as being very old. I actually still don't think of myself as being very old. So fast forward between 55 and I'm now 77, so what's that, 22 years, my life has been as full and rich as it was before I was 55, and in many ways fuller because of the experiences that I've had. It never ends for me. As long as my health and the rest of my emotions and the rest of my body and brain are working, I see myself continuing. Not sitting home, just reading my books, which I love to do, but moving outward and interacting with other people and continuing the kind of career that I've had my whole life. To me, that's what life is about.